No, you don't need to justify yourself. You don't need to send a novel-length text. You don't need to chase like some emotional charity case begging for scraps. And why? Because the world doesn't spin around your heartbreak, champ, and neither does she. What you need isn't closure or cuddles. It's silence. A silence that stings, that weighs heavy, that obliterates the ego of someone who thought they had you on a leash forever. This isn't just absence, it's a statement. A middle finger to anyone who mistook your patience for weakness, your kindness for neediness, your presence for desperation. Enter zero contact. Not some petty high school mind game, but the kind of ghosting that slams doors shut and burns bridges. It screams, "You lost me, and you lost hard." While she was out there playing games, racking up likes, treating your pain like a cheap accessory, you were drowning, suffering in silence, tearing yourself apart, thinking being there was proof of love. Newsflash, it wasn't. It was just the script of a fool she never took seriously. Now the tables have turned. You go quiet. You vanish. You become a mystery. And that's when her ego starts to crack. Because a woman who thrives on control loses her mind when she loses her grip. And to lose you without warning, without a scene, without a final talk, that's psychological warfare at its finest. She expected tears. She gets silence. She expected you to grovel. She gets a ghost. She expected apologies. She gets a void she can't fill. But hold up quick, PSA. This content didn't just magically appear. So do me a solid. Like, comment, subscribe. Not for my ego, but because the algorithm's needier than you were before you learned to ghost like a pro. Alright, buckle up. What's coming next isn't advice. It's an emotional survival guide. 1. The myth of the always there guy. Or how to be her emotional doormat 24/7. They sold you the lie that being Mr. Reliable is cute. That texting back in 2 seconds, checking if she got home safe, or eating her disrespect like it's your job is a flex of emotional maturity. Spoiler, it's a scam. They pitch this nonsense like unconditional devotion is some kind of emotional crypto accept in this market. The nice guy is the first to go broke. Nobody warned you that in the twisted game of modern relationships, being predictable is a death sentence. The more there you are, the more invisible you become. You're like her phone's default wallpaper, always there, never noticed. Just a background app, draining your battery until something shinier pops up and shuts you down. Your devotion screams desperation in disguise. She doesn't see security in your "Good morning, princess" texts. She sees a guy with no options. And just like that, your stock plummets faster than a company caught in a scandal. Your quick replies signal weakness. Your care looks like begging. Your love, it reeks of low self-worth. You send, "I miss you," and she replies 2 days later with a random emoji. You hype her up and she ghosts. You show up and she feels repulsed. Because a woman who knows you're on call 24/7 doesn't value you. She's bored of you. Too much of anything gets old. Even you. A predictable guy doesn't spark fear of loss. And without that fear, there's no investment. You can be the most loyal, sweet, understanding dude out there and still get slapped with a lifetime membership to the friend zone. Want to be seen? Disappear. Want to be remembered? Leave a void. Because what really draws her in isn't the clingy puppy love. It's the silence that unsettles, the absence that stings. It's the mystery. Once you grasp this brutal law of the emotional jungle, you stop begging for attention and start charging admission for it. Your worth isn't measured by how many texts you send. It's in the chaos you cause when you stop replying. Zero contact, or how to ghost and leave her ego in a full-blown meltdown. Zero contact isn't just about ditching the "good morning babe" texts. It's about becoming a damn urban legend. You vanish from her life like you're dodging a subpoena, no trace, no note, no explanation. It's not just shutting up, it's shutting down your soul. You stop being her emotional sidekick in the reality show she's directing. You don't just ghost her socials, you ghost her entire storyline. And the kicker? You do it without a heads up. More than cutting communication, Zero contact is a silent protest with an invisible sign that says, "I'm done being your emotional punching bag." It's the moment a man trades in his role as a lovesick doormat for something called dignity, a rare commodity these days. This isn't about wounded pride. It's about refusing to keep digging your own grave with the shovel of, "I'll try harder." The beauty? It's cold, ruthless. While she's rehearsing her little emotional power plays, waiting for you to chase or grovel. What does she get? Nada. A black hole of attention, a void that swallows the control she thought she had. Her ego, trained to toy with and test guys, short circuits. She's used to dudes who cry, beg, or post cringy breakup songs. But when you just vanish, game over! You can't manipulate what doesn't respond. You can't test what's not playing. Her brain, poor thing, goes into scarcity mode. Every notification that's not you. Every story you don't view. Every 2 a.m. She waits for you to slide into her DMs. It's torture, deluxe edition. Zero contact breaks the cycle. It's you ditching the role of needy sidekick. It's a mute middle finger that roars louder than any rant. I'm not your toy anymore. And the best part? You don't say a word, because silence makes more noise than all your pleading ever did. The longer you stay gone, the more she spirals, trying to figure out how she lost the guy she thought was locked in her emotional storage unit. And guess what? Too late. So if you're still sitting there wondering if you should ghost, do it. Let silence do the dirty work. Free her mind when you ghost, or how to turn her ego into a minefield with one weapon, silence. At first, she laughs. Not because it's funny, but because she thinks you're throwing a tantrum. That classic arrogance of someone who believes they're irreplaceable. Oh, he's just sulking. He'll be back with a novel-length apology soon. She smirks, crosses her arms, and thinks, he can't stay away. He'll crack. But then, time ticks by. No texts, no notifications, no cryptic stories. The panic creeps in where her smugness used to be. First, it's a casual, huh? Then doubt. Then a gnawing unease. Her brain starts itching. Did he actually ghost me? And just like that, the game flips. She turns into an FBI agent, stalks your profile with a burner account, lurks on your stories, checks if you're online, tries to track your soul via WhatsApp. She won't text pride, still driving the car. But inside, she's unraveling. Then comes the emotional meteor, insecurity, that nagging whisper. Is he with someone else? And that's it, buddy. She's done. Her ego starts shaking because her ego screams, he's mine. He can't move on. But fear whispers back, what if he did? And that internal tug of war is a soap opera for the ages. She starts testing you, sends a random sticker, reacts to your post with a weak emoji, types hey and deletes it. Desperate little jabs to get something out of you. But you, ice cold, silent, unfazed, like an ex who's already moved on. Every ignored attempt makes her ego bleed. The woman who treated you like an emotional accessory is now begging for a scrap of acknowledgement, because silence hits harder than any fight. It forces her to imagine, and everything she imagines, it's amplified. In her head, you're already with a supermodel, sipping cocktails on a yacht, posting cryptic vibes just to mess with her. She thinks you're playing dirty, that you're doing it on purpose, that you're cruel. But the truth, you're just done. And the silence of your done is an acid that eats away at the pedestal she put herself on, until it hits. That magic moment when she realizes she lost. And worse, she doesn't even know how. She just knows she's not in charge anymore. And that, my friend, is her true emotional collapse. Moral of the story? Ghosting isn't running away, it's winning in silence. Oh, her ego starts to crumble. and her untouchable act becomes a low-budget drama. The silence drags on, and guess what? The show begins. Because at first, she thought she was still directing this emotional soap opera. But time, that ruthless bastard, starts pulling back the curtain, and what her ego hid, her insecurity lays bare. She starts sabotaging herself while dressed up as the empowered queen. Posts a bikini pic staring into the void, captioned with some wannabe deep quote like, "You snooze, you lose," or "Peace comes from not chasing." All with that fake cool vibe of someone supposedly living their best life. But inside, an emotional dumpster fire. Every story is a veiled cry of, "Look at me," disguised as, "I don't care." Every sexy post is a stab at reclaiming the control she lost, trying to hit you without looking like she's been hit. Spoiler, she's been hit. Hard. The microaggressions start popping off. Passive-aggressive texts like, "Wow, you're really ghosting, huh?" Or, "Guess you finally remembered I exist." It's not charm, it's her ego scrambling to stay upright. A pathetic attempt to poke you into reacting, or worse, obeying. She might even come back, but don't expect humility. No, "I'm sorry." She'll roll in with emotional ammo, tossing calculated lines to tug at your ego. But guess what? The game's flipped. Now she feels your absence like a punch. It's not freedom anymore, it's withdrawal. Desperation dressed up as pride. Here's the cold truth, bro. When a woman who thought she was the last slice of pizza starts begging for attention between the lines, she knows she lost. Her emotional throne is empty. And what really breaks her? Not your silence. It's realizing that silence didn't bring you crawling back. That's the ego's nuclear meltdown. So stop coddling someone who treated you like an emotional rag. Done being her doormat? It's time for the comeback. There's a digital book in the description, not some fluffy self-help nonsense, but a battle plan for emotional warfare. To learn how to value yourself, flip the script, and put anyone in their place. No drama, no groveling, no knees on the floor. Want respect? Stop begging. Want to be remembered? Ghost. Want to take charge? Learn how. Or keep playing the premium doormat with a side of feelings. Your call. She comes back, but the man she left is long gone. Yeah, she comes back. Of course she does. They always do. Not because she loves you or had some grand epiphany about true love. She comes back because she lost control. She thought you were her emotional furniture, fixed, decorative, disposable. And she learned the hard way that the world doesn't revolve around her. It spins without her. And it's spinning good. She comes back because your silence screamed louder than any sob story you ever sent. Because this time, you didn't chase, didn't beg, didn't play the emotional clown. You just vanished. And that, my guy, messes with her head more than any heart-to-heart ever could. But don't get it twisted. She's not coming back humble. She'll hit you with that classic fake casual vibe. "Hey, stranger. Thought of you the other day. Remember that trip we took?" All with that breezy tone, like she can waltz in and out of your life like it's a mall. Only now you've changed. Zero contact wasn't just silence. It was the funeral for your neediness. You stopped begging for scraps and started seeing things with crystal clear eyes. That woman you put on a pedestal, she was just a shaky illusion built on your desperation. And now you see it like a surgeon sees a patient. She comes back expecting the same lovesick puppy. But guess what? That guy's dead. In his place is a man who's cold, selective, and immune to cheap mind games. She talks, and you listen, but you don't melt. She pokes, and you don't budge. Because now she might get your attention, but she'll never get your power. And that's when the game flips for good. Because what breaks her ego isn't that you ignored her. It's that she came back thinking she was still the star of your show, only to find she's not even in the cast anymore. You don't need to yell. You don't need revenge. Just keep being this new you, untouchable, unshaken, unbothered, because nothing hurts more than her realizing the guy who used to beg for her love doesn't need her to breathe anymore. She lost you, and the worst part, she has no clue how to get back what stopped being hers a long time ago. 6. Zero contact isn't revenge, it's self-worth. Finally becoming more than a buzzword. Some guys think zero contact is petty revenge. That ghosting is about making her feel what you felt. What a weak mindset. That's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. If you're still hoping she suffers, you're still chained. If you're acting to get a reaction, congrats, you're still the same emotional hostage, just quieter. Real zero contact isn't about her. It's about you. It's when you stop playing the lovesick beggar who settles for crumbs and realize your worth isn't tied to how much you chase. It's in the moment you stop offering yourself up. Ghosting isn't punishment for her. It's salvation for you. It's the emotional surgery where you cut out the tumor of neediness and stitch yourself back together with self-respect. It's not about hurting her. It's about healing you. Not, I'll show her what she lost. It's I finally see what I was losing by trying to fit where I didn't belong. Zero contact isn't a game. It's grief. It's you burying the delusion that chasing harder turns disinterest into love. Spoiler, it doesn't. It just humiliates you. And the best part? When it clicks, you don't reply because you don't need her validation. You ignore because you figured out that talking to a brick wall is a sign of insanity. You stay silent not out of weakness, but because your silence has weight. It has purpose. It has dignity. Zero contact isn't about making her chase you. It's about stopping your own chase. It's about refusing to crumble just to fit into a relationship that only diminished you. It's you, finally, demanding respect without saying a word. No novels, no theatrics. It's just you, ghosting with class, letting the sound of your absence say it all. And here's the thing. The guy who ghosts to find himself never comes back the same. 7. When to use zero contact, and when you're just being a dramatic child. Zero contact isn't a band-aid for every emotional scratch. It's a scalpel, and like any scalpel, use it wrong, and you'll just make a mess. Use it right? It's a miracle. You pull out zero contact when you've been emotionally beaten down for too long, when you're her backup plan, when her disrespect is the soundtrack to your relationship, when you're turning into an emotional clown, juggling for a crumb of attention while she plays How Far Can He Bend Before He Breaks. That's when zero contact comes in, not to teach her a lesson but to save what's left of you. When she dumps you expecting you to crawl back, when she cheats and assumes you'll hand her forgiveness on a platter, when she ghosts for days and waltzes back like your neediness has an endless warranty. That's when silence isn't a tactic, it's survival. But not everyone deserves your disappearing act. In a relationship with mutual respect, affection, issues, but actual communication, then you don't need to ghost, you need to talk. Using zero contact here just proves you're too emotionally stunted to handle conflict like an adult. That's not a man's move, it's a tantrum. And heads up, zero contact isn't for petty post-fight revenge because she didn't reply fast enough. That's called sulking. If you're ghosting over every little thing, you'll end up alone, and you'll deserve it. Real zero contact kicks in when staying around means signing up for more humiliation. When you realize the only way to protect yourself is to vanish. And the best part? You don't announce it. Announcing your ghosting is like a burglar ringing the doorbell before breaking in pathetic. A man who does zero contact right disappears. No speeches, no novels, no melodramatic goodbyes. You vanish and leave a void, because the silence that doesn't warn echoes the loudest. And the impact? Oh man, it's brutal. Because what destroys isn't the absence, it's that she wasn't ready to deal with it. And then, the screams aren't yours. They're hers. Silent, uncontrollable, permanent. Her reaction when you ghost without warning. Her ego has no backup plan. She'll put on a show. Oh, she will. She'll post "I'm thriving" selfies with captions like "rising from the ashes," while her insides are more like "emotional train wreck." She'll hit the town with her girls, strike poses in the mirror, flash fake smiles of "I'm over it," because the show must go on even if the stage is burning. Her ego never saw a script where you ghost first. In her head, you were supposed to be on your knees, crying for attention, posting sappy breakup quotes. But what did she get? Silence. Ice. Indifference. And that, my guy, cuts deeper than any insult. Then comes phase 2, flipping the script. She'll attack, call you immature, toxic, a coward, paint you as the villain who couldn't handle feelings. It's all smoke and mirrors, because what she really wants is to rebuild her shattered ego. She's not after emotional justice. She's after a story where she's still in control. And since she can't manipulate you anymore, she'll try to discredit you, make it seem like you screwed up, like ghosting was weak. But deep down, she knows. She knows you took too much, that you forgave, overlooked, waited, until you couldn't. She knows it wasn't a slip-up, it was a pattern of disrespect. And now, the guy who was always there is absolutely gone. Nothing wrecks a woman used to control like realizing she lost without a chance for a rematch. No fight, no audience, no warning. Because when a man vanishes in silence, he doesn't just frustrate her ego. He obliterates the fantasy world where she thought she'd always have you in her pocket. What's left? Emptiness. Angst. The corrosive question, will he come back? And worse, if he does, will he still want me? 9. Silence. The secret weapon of a man who knows noise is for the desperate. Want to own the emotional game? Learn this. The man who masters silence has already won. Silence isn't cowardice, it's dominance. It's when a guy looks at the emotional chaos and says, "I'm done with this circus." Silence isn't running away. It's maturity fed up with repeating the same pointless arguments. It's realizing that explaining yourself to someone who doesn't care is a waste of time and self-respect. Silence is clean, cold, precise. It doesn't shout, react, or beg. And that's why it hurts more. Because someone who thrives on ego expects drama, expects a scene, expects tears. But what do they get? A void. A ghost. A nothing so loud it eats them alive. In that void, she loses it. Did he really love me? Has he moved on? Was I just another girl? And why is she asking? Because you didn't give her the comfort of an explanation. You pulled the plug on her audience and left the stage empty. That's when her ego crumbles. Because ego feeds on control. And silence, it snatches that control away. It becomes a ghost, a doubt, a haunting presence every time she tries to convince herself she's over you and fails. And the best part, true silence doesn't come from anger. It comes from clarity. From a man who's proven all he needed to prove and doesn't need to open his mouth anymore. It's the silence of self-respect, of knowing you don't beg for validation, you demand it with absence. And what happens to that man? He stops being just another loudmouth and becomes the unanswered question that haunts her for years. Because a man who ghosts in peace isn't forgotten. He's etched into her mind. Moral of the story? Yelling annoys, silence torments, and that's real power. 10. The you that came back. She'll only hear the footsteps of the monster she created. If you pulled off zero contact like a real man, no whining, no slipping, no explaining your feelings like some emotionally stunted teen, then congrats. The fool who believed in one-sided love is dead. In his place is a you she never wanted to meet. Cold, lethal, untouchable. This new you doesn't walk through doors that slam shut, doesn't send "hey stranger" texts, doesn't beg for scraps like a stray dog. Now you look, assess, and ignore with the ice of someone who's bled too much to keep playing the emotional fool. And the best part? You see it now. Her distraction wasn't an accident. It was disrespect. She didn't drift away. She banked on your weakness. But you ghosted. And you did it with dignity. Cut the strings, burned the bridge, erased the path. You left her soul without a goodbye because a man who leaves with class doesn't need an audience. What rises in its place? A fortified man. A guy who chooses with a judge's coldness and a surgeon's precision. You don't talk much. You watch. You don't try to prove you're worthy of love. You make it clear that anyone who wants to stay better earn your presence. Now you get it. Value isn't explained. It's enforced. Status isn't begged for. It's felt. You're not here for story views or emoji reactions. You're here to exist with such weight that your absence speaks for you. You're not trying to win her back. You're rebuilding you. And that, my guy, is something she'll never touch, because she comes back wanting the same submissive guy. What does she find? A fortress. A riddle. A man she can't crack anymore. You smile but don't invite. You listen but don't give in. You're there, but never available. And the greatest power you've claimed? It's not making her suffer. It's never suffering for her again. It's looking in the mirror and seeing a whole man, not a fragment begging to be wanted. The ending? No applause, no fireworks. Just silence. A silence so fierce she feels it still, unable to fathom how she lost the one guy who treated her right, and finally got fed up. And if she's still searching for answers, here's the truth. You didn't become a monster. You just stopped being a fool.